We will call the opening December board meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everybody that's here tonight, and before we go any farther, wish everybody a very merry holiday season, board members and public. So thank you for that. We'll have the roll call, or call to order, Pledge of Allegiance by Jason Bunning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One down, 22 to go.
Okay, we have the agenda, and I have a motion, or we'll have an executive session on collective negotiations and litigation.
Chairman Young.
Roll call, yeah.
Chairman Young, we need to do roll call.
Yep. Marty just told me that, so. And could we have roll call, please? Oh, we need a motion to approve it, don't we? No? Okay.
After the roll call.
Vieti. Yes. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Here.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Coleman. Kestner.
Present.
Ritter.
Here.
Gerwin. Lovell. Allen. Arbogast.
Here.
Weller. Gimbel. Carly. Holt.
Here.
Runyon.
Here.
Mays. Heath. Weber. Young.
Here.
Yoder. Fannin.
Okay, now we can go to the agenda. Before we approve the agenda, I would like to have an executive session right after at the end of this agenda for collective negotiations and pending litigation. So could I have a motion? Gimbel, and a second?
Second.
Fannin. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Approval of minutes.
So moved.
If everybody looked them over, motion by Holt, second. Who got that one in?
Just go with
Who got, Carolyn? Carolyn had her hand up, I don't know.
Yep. Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
She hasn't put it down from the last meeting.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Okay. I would like to ask Mr. Fannin to join me down here by the front and at the podium.
Oh, maybe he's got it down there.
Yep. Yeah, it's there. It's there. It's there. I see it.
The old chairman, who used to be chairman 10 days ago or 12, always said this was one of his more pleasant duties. I'm not sure this is a pleasant duty to do, because Marty has done such a great job as chairman. This is a resolution of appreciation in honor of former chairman Marty Fannin. Whereas Mr. Fannin served as chairman of the Livingston County Board from 2012 to 2016, after being elected to the county board in 2008. And whereas during Mr. Fannin's term, Livingston County initiated and completed numerous projects that have and will continue to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Livingston County. And whereas Mr. Fannin has been courteous and helpful to all individuals with whom he has transacted business, and this board, as well as the public officials and the citizens of Livingston County, appreciate the service he provided as county board chairman. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Livingston County Board at its December 15th, 2016 meeting that we, and each of us, do hereby make this public expression of our sincere appreciation of the faithful services rendered by Marty to the citizens of Livingston County during his term as chairman of this board. Be it further resolved that this resolution of appreciation be publicly read in open session of the county board and spread upon the records of the proceedings of this board, and that the clerk be directed to present a copy thereof to Mr. Fannin. Passed by roll call vote this 15th day of December, 2016. Attested by Chairman Bob Young and Livingston County Clerk Christy Manchin. Mr. Fannin, we certainly appreciate all the work you've done and all the work you're going to continue to do. Would you like to say a few words?
I gave my thank you speech and thanked the board last month. Melina said, what'd you do that for? I was planning something. But I'd just like to reiterate that I was extremely happy to take this position, and I was very thankful for the opportunity to serve the county in this capacity. And any success was because of this board, not because of me. I appreciate each and every one of you and the way that you've conducted business, and you've done a fantastic job. And I appreciate everything that you did for me while I was chairman. Thank you.
And with this,
Second.
get a nice plaque. We hope you will put someplace in honor, and always remember what a good chairman you were.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it.
Bob, you have a motion and a second to,
We do
Approve the
not have a motion yet.
Yes,
yeah,
Yes, you
Runyon,
did.
who did the second?
I did.
Arba.
Kathy Arbogast. Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Beatty. Yes. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle. Yes. Ingalls.
yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Coleman. Yes. Kestner. Yes. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Yes. Arbogast.
Yes.
Weller.
Yes.
Gimbel.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Yes. Fannin. Yes.
Okay, now for the consent agenda, approval of the bills. Can I have a motion for that? Ingalls and Coleman. Any discussion? Okay, roll call that, please.
Beatty. Yes. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle. Yes. Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yep.
Coleman. Yes. Kestner. Yes. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell. Allen. Yes. Arbogast.
Yes.
Weller. Gimbel. Yes. Carly. Yes. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays. Yes. Weber. Yes. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Yes. Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Before we start the action agenda, and just very quickly, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Steichen. But I did want to say before I do that, I hope, we had a lot of publicity about what was said last week after our reorganizational meeting that I thought reflected pretty negatively on us as a board. I wish we could have just gone without any trouble with the appointment that we made. There was once a person that told me that we are only one step down from our elected state officials, and that person was Justin Gimbel's uncle, John, and he said that more than once. So we got to remember that we have to earn our public's respect, and I hope that we'll be able to do that and continue to do that as time goes along. Thank you. Mr. Steichen, I will recognize you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the opportunity here tonight. I had a small speech wrote out for you folks here tonight, but I have gotten so much input from the citizens of the county, and some of them asked me to read a different statement, and hopefully it will reflect on all of us. Over the last few days, I've received many emails and phone calls and text messages after I requested the reconsideration. I would like to share one of them as someone gave me something to read. And I thought it was very interesting and possibly everyone would get some benefit out of it. It's about community leaders, family leaders, and should apply to every one of us. And as a leader, you should always strive to be the perfect leader. This will only ensure that you will never quit trying. Think before acting, speaking, and responding. Be responsible for your words, actions, and choices. We should own our shortcomings and mistakes and apologize when needed. Respect yourself. You make a difference. Make it a positive difference. We should admit to our faults, accept that we are not perfect, choose to change what we can, and make the best with what we can't change. Think for yourself, prepare and lead the best way you can, not the best way someone else can. Treat others with respect. How you treat others is about you, not them. Care about people. Show compassion. Remember that everyone has a story. Don't alienate anyone. Try to help people accentuate their strengths rather than their weaknesses. Appreciate people and their different abilities, talents, experience, strength, and intelligence. Compliment the good in people. Allow others to shine. It doesn't dim your light. Be genuine and have integrity so people can trust you. To gain someone's trust is not free, but it's earned. Same as respect. Exercise self-control. Try to remain calm as much as possible. Be peaceable with those around you. Return no evil for evil, but have the courage to take an appropriate stand for what is right. Be considerate. Practice the golden rule. Choose to do what is right. If you are not sure what it is, pray and seek wise counsel. Practice self-discipline. Before we speak, we should think about our words. Are they honest, necessary, helpful, and kind? Respect authority. Don't assume. Ask. Be open, forthright, and honest in all manner of communication. To intentionally give people the wrong impression, no matter what form of communication, is no different than living a lie. Disagree or correct by discussing and explaining, not arguing, condemning, or complaining. We should not take things personally if we are criticized. Rather, we should listen to what people say, determine any truth in it, take time to collect your thoughts before responding, and move forward. Ask, how can I help? Be open-minded and listen, which seems to be the toughest thing for all of us sometimes. Choose to have a positive attitude regardless. Remember, attitudes affect everything. Expect imperfection, offer grace for yourself and others, forgive quickly and often. To withhold forgiveness will only hurt you, not them. Be humble. Life is not all about you and your abilities. Think positive thoughts. Smile. It helps everyone. Be friendly. Say please and thank you. Do not step up to lead unless you are able and willing to put in the time and effort. Honor your commitments. Be accountable and be workable with others. Leading shouldn't be about power or prestige. It should be about serving and helping people. The natural human reaction is to point out others could improve their leadership, but how do we know without intentionally trying to perfect our own. This is only an abbreviated attempt at explaining the fundamentals of intentionally leading well. It takes a lifetime of purposefully trying to achieve this goal. Reading and following these suggestions are two things, and the latter being the harder part. With all that being said, let's all work together. With everyone's effort, we can make a difference for this county. One thing I know is I've got a lot of work to do myself, and I don't know if everybody here should probably be asking themselves the same thing. That being said, I want to make it crystal clear to all my fellow board members. It's been said by members of the public and people on the board that my motion set somebody up for failure. You heard Chairman Young talk about the negativity, and I think here tonight we have a chance to kind of clear that water and maybe do what's right and have an open and honest discussion about where we're going from here forward. That being said, I want to exercise my right under Article 1, Section 12, and make a motion for reconsideration of my vote for Vice Chairman.
We have a motion on the floor to reconsider the vote for Vice Chairman. Do we have a second to that?
I'll make a second. He has every right under that article to reconsider.
Okay, Mr. Kestner has seconded that motion.
Mr. Chairman, question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Steichen say reconsider his vote or everyone's vote?
Everyone's vote.
He said his vote, I believe.
Yeah, but he wants a re-vote on the whole.
Let's make sure we got this straight.
We do.
Thank you.
Chair, no, we'll have any comments when the chair recognizes Mr. Ingles.
Immediately after Joe made it public that he asked that this be put on the agenda, or I was made aware of it actually before it was put on the agenda, I guess, I sent an email to all my fellow board members after I'd talked to Chairman Young to make it perfectly clear that we were probably as surprised as anybody, but we didn't request it, we didn't know about it, had nothing to do with it. And with that, I want to make sure that the other people, especially you who are here, that heard the discussions and the votes, were aware of that. And moreover, I have no intention of supporting this motion.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Now, when we vote on this, if you vote no, you're voting to not reconsider. If you vote yes, you're voting to reconsider, and we would have to have another nomination process and vote. So, right? So we will be taking a roll call vote, and again, you have to have a majority of us here to reconsider. So, Christie?
Bob, can I say something?
I'm
real
sorry.
quick as I stand in the dock? Been doing this 17 years, and I'm not quite sure why I got singled out either way, but I'd like to think most of what Joe just recited, I think a fair amount I've exhibited. So I guess I find it kind of disturbing, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Christie, wait a minute. John Slagle? Are you speaking into your mic?
Is this on? Okay, you gotta hold the button, huh?
No.
No, just push it till it's green.
Still on, okay. What's the result of a yes vote here and the result of a no vote?
Okay.
I'm not quite clear on that.
If you vote no, you do not want a reconsideration of the vice chairman. That will leave Tim Schaefer in as vice chairman. If you want to reconsider and open up the nominations for vice chairman, then you would vote yes.
And then we would do the reconsideration when?
Next month, we could go ahead and do the nominations tonight. Okay.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Did you have your hand up, Chuck?
I don't know if it's a silly question or not, but why did you want to do this? May I ask, Joe? Is that something reasonable to request? Why did you want to change your vote? Did you explain that?
Yes, I can explain it. The negativity that I've received from some of the public and some of the board members, they think that I've set Mr. Schaefer up for failure by nominating him. I don't want to be the one that is the foundation for that. If that in fact plays out at a later date, I know Tim has had aspirations of being the board chairman, and I don't want to be involved in something that can be used against him down the road if in fact it doesn't work out for the vice chairmanship. And just to be clear, a yes vote or a no vote, either way, can still lead to Mr. Schaefer being the vice chairman.
My thought on that is that after the nominations, I asked, did the people who were nominated want that job? So, I mean, I know there wasn't a whole lot of time to think about it, really, but they had the chance to decline at that point. Just thinking out loud, I guess. Call the question.
Anyone else want to? Got anything to say? Okay, we will take the roll call.
Beatty,
No.
Bunning,
No.
Slagle. No. Ingalls,
No.
Steichen,
Yes.
Schaefer,
No.
Coleman. No. Kestner. No. Ritter. No. Berwin. No. Lovell. No. Allen. No. Arbogast.
No.
Weller. No. Gimbel. No. Carly. No. Holt.
No.
Runyon.
No.
Mays. No. Heath. Weber. No. Young.
No.
Yoder. No. Fannin.
No.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Vice Chairman, Tim Schaefer will remain in that role.
Well, bless your heart. Thank
Okay.
you. And nobody stuttered.
No.
Hey, just real quick, Tim, before you start, I noticed some people having trouble getting their microphones turned on and one thing and another. It's just, last month I wasn't able to be here, but I did, and if you haven't, you should when you're not able to be here. You can log in via our website. John Sear, our IT manager, has the camera. He's hooked into the PA system. And if you're not using your mic, believe me, you cannot be heard when it's streaming. So if all the board members would, please make sure you use your microphone. You can be heard in here, but you cannot be heard remotely. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we go to the Finance Committee, and that'll be the Vice Chairman of the County Board plus the Chairman of the Finance Committee to give a report.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. What we've got tonight, just for consideration, is an annual chore, like a lot of our chores. We have an arrangement where we have a resolution that the Attorney General of the State of Illinois makes available if our local state's attorney needs some help with stuff, where manpower would be an issue, for whatever reason, there would be an expertise issue that they could help for a fee, which is in Randy's budget. We annually approve that he can indeed rely on those people. So having said that, to get the ball rolling, I would make the motion, we approve that resolution.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Is that a second, Kelly? Okay, now is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I ask what that fee has gone up to now? Because it is very reasonable, at least it has been in the past.
15,000, Bob.
Very good, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Carolyn.
Carolyn?
Mr. Chairman, since it is the beginning of a new term for our state's attorney, I wonder if we just would like to confirm that he is in favor of this.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Schaefer hit the nail right on the head. Really, the biggest thing that the appellate prosecutor does for the state's attorney's office is they handle any and all appeals that are filed out of Livingston County. We file roughly about 350 felony cases a year. As you can imagine, we send many unhappy people to the Department of Corrections, and every one of those individuals files an appeal on their case. One appeal alone can cost upwards of $10,000 or more in manpower, resources, you name it. And so for the appellate prosecutor's office to handle every one of our appeals at just $15,000 a year, we get a lot of bang for our buck with that office, and they do an excellent job. So yes, I'm absolutely in favor of it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, let's call for the roll on this. Roll call vote.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Arbogast. Weller.
Yes.
Gimbel.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, anything else?
That's it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Now we go to the Highway Committee. Jason Bunning.
Thank you, Chairman Young, and at the advice of my neighbor here, I turned my microphone on for, I think, the first time I've had since, for the 2 years I've been here. Asked Clay Metcalf to come up and go through the resolutions in the fiscal year last quarter. Clay.
Good evening. We've got a couple of resolutions for the county board. First one is the county maintenance, general maintenance resolution. This is our annual appropriation of money for of motor fuel tax for the operation of the department. It is slightly higher than last year as we had a few items that we needed to increase in, but we have to appropriate the entire amount in order for IDOT to authorize the funding. The second resolution is in regards to county engineer's salary, and again, it's appropriating the money from motor fuel tax for the use of that purpose for 2017. And the last item that we have is our quarterly report. And that's for the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
I so move it, Chairman.
Mr. Bunning?
Second.
Mr. Runyon? Anybody from the county board?
All three.
All three.
All three in one motion. That is correct.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, let's have roll call.
Vieti.
Yes.
Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yep.
Coleman. Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Weller.
Yes.
Kimball.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
And that completes my report, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Ag and Zoning Committee, Mr. Darrell Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While Chuck's on his way up here, I'll give you a preview of coming attractions. We discussed the intergovernmental agreement with Joint 911 Authority. I went over it with Randy Wittenberg, found some things that I wanted changed. We changed those. Chuck changed a couple things. And then at our meeting, we turned it over to our state's attorney, Randy Yednick, and Alina, and they were going to review it. And Alina tells me that they reviewed it, made some improvements regarding benefits to the county, and that I asked Randy tonight if that looked okay to him, and he said it did. So with that, I would make a motion, unless Chuck has something that he wants to throw in here, I'll make a motion that we, yes, ma'am. Okay, there was one approved back in October, that was for the, was it for chairman and the clerk to sign, but it was 10 pages long. This one has been modified by an attorney, and when they modify them, they like to add pages, so there's 50-some pages. I didn't mean that for you, Randy. Okay. There's 54 pages here, so with that, I think we should have a motion and approve this one with those changes to have those signatures.
Okay, was that Mr. Ritter that made the motion?
Yes.
Is there?
Second.
Did you make the motion, Darrell?
Paul can make it, I don't care.
Okay.
You know. Paul
Okay,
made the
Mr.
motion, I'll
Ritter.
second it.
And Darrell for the second.
Yeah.
Roll-
Elena, you had some comments?
You want to do these separate, I think, don't you? These two,
Yeah,
res-
I'm not doing to both of them.
yeah.
Go ahead, Elena.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things. One, the IGA that's on your desk, along with the resolution, those are in final form and they are ready to go. The bylaws that were attached and distributed in the packet, they were reviewed by the state's attorney's office. They are approved for content only. Yesterday, John Clemmer, Barb Sear, we met with Randy Wittenberg regarding some concerns that we had with the bylaws themselves. It was a very productive meeting, but there are a lot of changes to come within the bylaws, so we would ask that you approve those pending final attorney review and approval. Some of those things, if you'd like, would you like me to go into what they are? Some of the amendments have to do with just references that are made to the fiscal agent, who will be the county, versus the treasurer. Those were all simple. There was some language in there about capital outlay and a startup fee that it called for from the county and all the other municipalities. There is no capital outlay fee, so we removed everything that had to do with that. There was also reference to a recapture fee should the county choose to terminate this agreement. It said that the ETSB board, the newly appointed board, would determine how much you owe them if you got out. That isn't really feasible, not really kosher, so everything that has to do with that will be removed as well. The bylaws gave the ETSB board the ability to change those bylaws without approval because there's so much that you're agreeing to as part of the bylaws. We thought that it's important that those bylaws be either required to be unanimous vote of that board, since you have two appointees who will be on that board, or it needs to come back to the original members. So that change will be made. And then there's some other minor changes, but those things will all need to be incorporated into the new agreement before the county signs off. Also, the agreement had a 3-year window. You had to become a member of the entity for 3 years, and then you could provide your cancellation if you wanted to get out. It's a 24-month cancellation notice. So you would be in no matter what if things weren't working on for a minimum of 5 years. So the initial will be changed to 12 months. It'll still be a 24-month notice. There were also some things about involuntary withdrawal, those things, and penalties associated with that. Those things have all been removed as well.
Good, thank you. Good that we have people that look out for us. Yeah, Carolyn?
The follow-up question, so when you say that those are definitely going to be taken out, how do you know that?
Because we'll get the agreement back, and before the document is actually signed, we'll review it internally, we'll forward it back to the state's attorney's office for his final review and approval, and then we'll sign the document.
So I would be more comfortable voting in favor of this with reference to the items you just mentioned, instead of sort of a blanket, just hope it works out. I would like to see the motion, one of the movements to amend that motion to incorporate the changes that Alina has listed.
Would you be okay if we went ahead and approved it pending review, final review by the state's attorney?
with those items removed.
With
Incorporating
those items, yeah, finalized?
Yes.
Okay. And I think that's the way the,
Can I say something?
yeah, Mr. Ingles?
That's the understanding.
Just so everybody understands, Randy didn't take this from 10 pages to 54 or whatever it is. I'm a member of that ETSB board, and so everybody understands, there's two boards here. There's the current board and the new board, which gets outside of Livingston County. It involves the city of Streeter, which is already participating. And Bill Flott's the other county board representative. Bill and I will continue on the new board at the request of the chairman during a transition. What happened was members of the old board that transferring to the new board, we worked for several weeks on a new document. And this is a new organization. And we basically come up with a 10-page document that said what we wanted it to say. The intent was there. But we also felt that it needed to be reviewed by an attorney that was very familiar with this to ensure that it met the state statute. There's all kinds of statutory requirements around telephone system boards. We wanted to make sure that we were in lockstep with that. And we found that attorney up in the suburbs somewhere. This is their specialty. And that's where the document grew. And we're satisfied a lot of this was language from other agreements that he had done that was not our intent. So it's not like somebody got this in there for the wrong reason and we discovered it and took it out. It was simply a matter of an attorney going beyond our intent. And by taking these out, we're getting the 50-some page document back to represent the intent that was in the 10-page document that we started with. So just wanted everybody to know there was no attempt to try to, do anything without anybody knowing about it. It was simply an attorney that didn't understand our real intent. Thank you.
Okay, I think we had a motion and a second, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I just want to clarify again what Carolyn was saying. If we vote yes on this, we're voting for this motion with the changes that Alina had spelled out, correct?
Yes.
With states, after the state's attorney has approved it.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Mr. Weller.
Mr. Weller?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alina and Mike both referred to the fact that we have two representatives for our board on this new organization, on this new board. Could you give us the rest of the composition of that board, please, Mike?
Wow.
Who all or how many?
There's, the way the new board is constructed, it's a board of 9. There's 2 from the largest, and it's by population entity, Livingston County, 2 from Streeter, Fairbury, Pontiac, and Dwight all have 1 member. Is that 9? Is somebody keeping track?
It's 9.
7, isn't it?
And the way the agreement's put together, the largest gets 2 and so forth until we get to 9. And it was done, it's kind of an unusual thing. It provides, if we bring somebody else in, and we hope we become a regional center, then they will get a board seat. The low guy with 2 will go to 1. So it will fluctuate in the future.
So LaSalle County as a whole is not there, it's just the city of Streeter.
City of Streeter only, yeah. LaSalle County that's a whole nother story in terms of 911 dispatch services. They've got, I think, 9 different PSAPs up there. It's insane. But we have had conversations, not with the whole of LaSalle County, with other adjoining counties and communities. And there is a state deadline that requires regional centers somewhere out, I think, 2020. So we think the center probably will grow. And that's economically a benefit to all of us because the larger the participation, the less each pays.
How many PSAPs will we be operating?
1.
All in one?
We're 1 dispatch center, yeah.
That's what we were aiming at.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, Any other questions? Okay, let's do it to a roll call vote, please, Christie.
Fieri,
Yes.
Bunning,
Yes.
Slagle,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Dyson. Yes. Schaefer,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Yes.
Kestner, Ritter,
Yes.
Gerwin, Lovell,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Weller. Yes. Gimbel,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Runyon,
Yes.
Mays. Yes. Weber,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Yoder,
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Holt, you have another one now, I think, the moratorium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chuck mentioned that prior to the meeting that we probably should put this on the agenda for our ag meeting because there is, time constraints regarding the moratorium. After attending the zoning board of appeals meeting the other night and hearing all the credits given to the UCLC regarding their idea for this change and their idea for that change, it looks like there's a lot of changes made, and a lot of them are based on what the UCLC has recommended. With that in mind, it looks to me like that an extension is in order. There was a motion made and unanimously voted on by the Ag Committee to extend it 3 months. And we would like to pass that recommendation on to this board.
Are you making the motion?
That motion, I'll make the motion that we extend the moratorium 3 months.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Fannin has a second. Chuck?
What you're actually doing is approving, signing a text amendment to start the administrative process to move this forward. So you're approving an amendment to a text to allow for the zoning board to hold a public hearing in January in regards to this, and then the actual moratorium for your approval or denial come back before you in February, so you can extend it at that point in time, depending where you're at. So that's what you're actually voting on tonight.
Chuck, if everything would go real smooth and we'd get this all finalized in February, the February board meeting, the ordinances, and then we could withdraw the final once it got in place.
You could vote to deny it, probably the best thing. It's going to be there, so you probably need an official action on it, so you could vote to deny it.
But then that would take it off.
That would, yeah, correct, yes.
Okay.
You would not be extending it, so it would end on February 28th then.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or? One of the things I was hoping to do as the chairman is when questions come up, sometimes it seems like they come up here and we discuss them and pass them, and then at the very end, after it's already been decided, the public has a chance to comment on something that's already done. And I would like to be able to give the public, a few minutes if they have something they want to say before we vote. I don't want to extend the board meetings too long, but if there's anybody out there in the audience that has a comment on this extension of the moratorium, raise your hand and we'll listen to you. Yes, sir, Mr. Station. Come on up, Adam.
Did we not vote on this in December, or in November, and we extended it for 3 more months?
That's right.
And we have a moratorium in place until the end of February.
Yep.
And we're voting right now to extend that moratorium?
That's right. Because it takes
February on.
it takes that long for the zoning board of appeals to hear it. It's got to be 30 days before they can even act on it, doesn't it, Chuck?
But we're not voting to extend it, we're voting to.
You're just, what you're doing is that you're approving the county board chairman to sign an application or a text amendment. Then we have to put a notice of public hearing in the newspaper. Then the zoning board will have to hold a hearing on it at their January meeting. Then you need to wait 30 days after that hearing, which probably will be on January 5th. And then at that point in time, you can take action on it. So all you're doing tonight is voting to approve the process, administrative process, to allow for an option to have a moratorium available to you to vote on in February.
So this has nothing to do with extending a moratorium?
Other than starting the administrative process to give you that opportunity to do
That
that.
has nothing to do with the moratorium.
Adam, were you gonna come up? Or? I thought I saw you getting up.
Maybe first, before I comment, I would ask for a point of clarification from Mr. Steichen's comment. He said this has nothing to do with the moratorium.
No, that's all we're talking about, is moratorium.
I understand. Is the vote to extend the moratorium or not to extend the moratorium?
To start the process.
You have to get a text amendment into the administrative in order to have consideration at probably the February meeting to extend the moratorium. Bottom line is, if we don't approve this, the current moratorium would expire before you had a
The
moratorium
process
back in
complete.
place. Yeah.
I would just say this. From a position of economic development, this issue needs to be resolved. Post haste.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
We agree.
Okay, Joe, and then Mark.
Could we not extend the moratorium at next month's meeting?
No, because of the
We can
30 days, right, Chuck?
We can extend the moratorium anytime we want.
I don't think
We've
so.
done it, we've
No,
done it to this point.
It's a text amendment. In order to go through the process, you need to begin it now, so you're able to vote on it in February.
We have never extended it without doing that. Mark?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, it seems like here we are again. It seems like we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, we're almost there, but then it seems like we're always back here doing the same thing again, and it's getting frustrating. We sent this to the zoning board, I think 7 months ago, and we're still sitting here waiting. So I guess my first question would be, does it look like we're gonna get this back anytime soon, or are we just gonna continually just keep being pushed off and pushed off? I mean, I know we're waiting on the zoning board, but
Mark, at the
there's-
last, at the zoning board of appeals meeting, I was told by Tom and Chuck that they're looking at this meeting that's December 20th, taking about 15 minutes, and they will approve the changes that they made so that it can come back to us after that meeting. Whether it takes 15 minutes or 2 hours, it doesn't matter, but that's what they suggested, that they were that close to the end of it and that close to approving it and sending it back to the board.
It's being put in final draft now to be available for them next week on Tuesday. And we're hoping that once it's in a final draft, it'll be read and they'll approve it as it is. So hopefully it takes a short period of time.
Okay, well, let's hope that's true. I just don't see how we can keep extending this over and over and over again. I guess I'll vote for this tonight, but this will probably be the last time I would vote for an extension. So just a fair warning to everyone. I mean, we've got to draw this to an end sooner or later, and we just can't keep going and going and going.
You're going to get a lot of agreements there, Mark.
Okay, Carolyn?
My question is really for Mr. Dantz, and I'm sorry that I let you get away, but my question is, when you say that we need to resolve this post haste, can you tell us, is there a project that you know of that is waiting for this to be resolved, or why do you say that?
There is absolutely no project that I'm aware of that's pending. My comment simply stems from the message we send, much broader than with respect to wind.
Thank you.
And I don't know that the process that we talk about with respect to text amendments and changes to the current zoning ordinance and the role of the ZBA and others, those I would think can continue on their due course, with or without a moratorium. Irrespective of a moratorium, all the changes that we're contemplating. I just said.
Basically, we're basically trying to take the results of all this process and make sure that the new ordinance reflects that before we drop a moratorium, because if we drop the moratorium, the old ordinance that nobody wants at this point would still be in place. So that's why. And at the meeting, at the Ag and Zoning meeting, it was mentioned that this extension, this beginning of the process to have an extension is a good idea, because then we would avoid having to have emergency special meetings, each of which would cost the taxpayers about $2,000 to, was it $2,500 in order to have an extra meeting. So that's another consideration, and it can always be not voted on, not extended in the, when it comes back to the county board. So this just keeps our options open, basically.
Very good, thank you.
Carolyn was also said at that meeting that we've spent enough time on this that we'd like to make sure that we do it right this time. So that's why we want to give the extension so that we're allowed time to do it, so that it doesn't have to be done again.
Anyone else on the board? Okay, John Slagle.
Thank you. The other thing about the extension is I'm also not a big fan of the extension, in that I would like to see this all done also. But there's two things on the table. There's the ad hoc committee results that are going through ZBA right now. And then the other is implementing the results of the referendum and how that pans out. They could both be the same item, or they might be two different items. If they're not the same item, the implementing the results of the referendum is going to be a long time. We haven't even accomplished something that simple yet in this process, and so that will have to involve lawyers figuring out how to do it. It'll have to go through the ZBA. It's going to be another text amendment. So we are going to need more time, although I'm hoping we get lucky and everything just resolves easily.
Okay, back to Carolyn.
One other question, this is probably, I don't know if it's for Chuck or for John, but isn't there a third item still pending regarding wind energy with regard to the property value guarantee plan application that Mr. Weeks filed?
Well, Mr. Weeks didn't really file it. Mr. Weeks presented it, and the zoning board is actually the applicant on that thing, but Mr. Weeks was he was the backer behind it, yes. That is still pending, and I think that has a little bit to do, if the setbacks are approved as they're sitting right now in draft, it probably becomes a moot issue, so it may not be, it's still out there, and how it's addressed probably depends on how you move forward with the rest of the text amendment, okay?
Okay. Let's go ahead and, oh, you want to speak? Okay, go ahead.
Chuck, I meant to catch you there before you sat back down, and I apologize. When we extended this moratorium 3 months ago, or began chapter 1 of a 3-chapter process, it was kind of heavy-handed on us that it was because we want to wait and see what the results of this referendum that took place on November 8th took place, correct?
Correct.
Was that discussed at all at the last ZBA meeting? Has the results from the referendum even, have they started to discuss how that process worked?
Not in the way you're wanting to be. I mean, it may have been mentioned, somebody said, okay, the referendum was this, and there were 7 or 8 townships that said we're in favor of it, but and they may have said that they were grouped together, but beyond that, there's no discussion as far as the administration are moving forward with it. So, yes, it may have been discussed, but no, it was not discussed as how we need to move forward, because we do have to sit back and discuss what are our options, how to move forward with it. That is legitimate issues to how do we move forward with it. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. One last call. Roll call it, please, Christie.
Vieti,
Yes.
Bunning,
No.
Slagle,
Yes.
Ingalls,
No.
Steichen,
No.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Kestner,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Gerwin, Lovell, Allen,
Yes.
Weller,
Yes.
Kimball,
Yes.
Harley,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Runyon,
Yes.
Mays,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Yoder,
Yes.
Fannin.
Yeah.
Okay,
One more item.
Mr. Holt.
December 20th, 7 PM, zoning board of appeals meeting. Here. I'd like for all the board members to be there. I'd like to, if they're going to make these decisions, to hear what the zoning board of appeals has to say.
What time?
7 PM.
7:30, yeah.
7:30? Thank you.
PM.
I'm sorry. Mark.
Once the zoning board acts and passes whatever they're gonna pass to send back to us, will that be distributed to all county board members immediately, or?
I've asked Chuck to do a copy of that and highlight the changes that they're coming through with, so that people, committee members, board members can see what, so I've asked him for copies for all the committee members. And also a copy of the ordinance that went to them, so you can look at, which I have now, but I don't have it highlighted, the changes that was made. It's easier to look at if he highlights the changes. So I've asked him for 2 copies, one that went to the ZBA and one that is their final that's coming back to us.
Will that be limited to just committee members, or can all county board members get that?
It would be on our website, won't it?
Yeah, you get all this stuff posted.
No.
It would be emailed out in the packet once it's been approved by the ZBA. Draft documents are not subject to FOIA and are not available, but as they're reviewing them, once they're approved, we'll email them out to board members as part of the committee packet so you can begin your review.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. Now we go to Mr. Ingalls, Public Property.
Excuse me, no report, Your Honor.
Personnel Committee, Kathy Arbogast.
Left.
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair.
Who's vice chair? Yes, sir, Mr. Vietti. Sheriff Jail and License Committee, Ron Kestner.
The committee met this evening. We approved bills that were presented. We approved 2 raffle license applications. We heard the animal control report and the proactive report. And presently, Livingston County Jail is housing 45 federal prisoners and 30 Cook County prisoners. And that is my report.
Thank you. Information Technology Committee, Vicki Allen.
Thank you. We met for a very short meeting tonight and approved to pay the bills, and that ends my report.
Okay, thank you, Vicki. Veterans Assistance Committee, and I know also he had a Recreation Committee meeting this week, so maybe we can get an update on both. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, but I would defer back to you for item number 6. You skipped over Election Rules and Legislation Committee.
Well, I certainly did, didn't I? I'm very sorry, too. The man we honored, I skipped over. It was unintentional, I promise you.
We didn't meet, so I have no report.
Well, thanks, Joe, for getting that straightened out. Now we're back to you, Mr. Station.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Veterans Assistance, we met here tonight. We went over the year-end financials. Mr. Bailey was approximately $35,300 under budget with that much carryover for FY17. It was kind of a short month, but the bills were way down this month. We're looking forward to probably gonna pick up a little bit next month with this cold weather snap coming. But right now, the VAC is clicking on all cylinders. Any questions? That concludes my report. And, I would like to welcome the two new committee members, John Slagle and Kathy Arbogast, to the VAC committee, bringing that total up to 5. Thank you for that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Joe. The administrative meeting. It's been a fairly busy 2 weeks, as probably a lot of you know. We got the committee assignments made, and as always, I'm afraid, some people were fairly happy with their committee assignments, and probably some were fairly unhappy with them, and we apologize. Did it the best we could using the choices that the board members tried to highlight. First 2 weeks, been getting an education with a lot of help from a lot of employees and board members. I've been real impressed with the employees that I've met around the courthouse here. And we will be having administration meetings every month. I don't think we'll skip any that I know of. I think we got a lot of work that we can do in those administrative meetings. And in the committee room where we meet, we haven't had a flag in there for a while. And Mr. Flott presented us with a flag that we could have in there. So I did want to mention that. So, public comment.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Being that it wasn't listed for recreation or for the Public Board of Health, could I give a report under public comment for both of those departments?
I think you could.
Thank you, sir. The Recreation Committee met yesterday morning. Had one committee member has since resigned. He's moved out of the county, headed south. The talk was of the bike path, the issues that we're seeing there, and the composition of the committee going forward. Trying to refocus, maybe look at some new avenues, and then see where we're going to go from there. Probably going to be part of our planning meetings in January, talking about what's going to happen going forward. So that concludes my report about the rec committee. Mr. Ritter, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Joe. You mentioned where we are currently with the bike path. Briefly, where is that?
We did not get the grant that we were hoping for. There are some issues that are coming up now with Route 66. It's not state property. It is actually leased from all the original landowners. So there's some other issues facing us for that. So the road just keeps getting steeper and steeper for the bike path, but some committee members have not given up on it, and they are going to present to the Highway Committee probably next month. Any other questions?
Did you have mental health?
Did you get public health?
Okay.
That concludes my report on the recreation. On the Public Board of Health, we met Monday night. The biggest topic or the concern for the Public Board of Health was the employee early retirement and the buyout package. Melinda has possibly 5 employees that could utilize that early buyout, and that would devastate her budget. There's no details have been let out yet as to what that early retirement buyout is going to be, but with the comp time and the vacation, I would ask that the Personnel Committee and Finance Committee would look at that kind of hard to see how that's going to affect her. There's, I think, between 4 of them, there's an exponential, there's a lot of sick time and vacation time that could have to be paid out right away. And she did not allow for all of that in her budget. So that was the biggest concern right up front. The other concern is the state. They have their funding through, I believe it's the end of January. I was hoping that Melinda would be here tonight, but I see she's not. I think the stopgap was going to fund them through the end of December for certain, possibly the end of January. Where it goes from there, it's anybody's guess. So if there's any questions, Mr. Schaefer, do you have a question?
No, about that early buyout stuff, as far as the logistics of it, there's a proviso in there that we reserve the right to stagger those if that's going to really screw things up. So there's conditions on that. So we have another department where have a bunch of people eligible, and as a practical matter, budget aside, just the running of the department, we know you can't everybody vamoose at once. So
Well,
there's
and
some
they-
protection with that.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. And there wasn't a lot of details available for them, for the department or the employees, so, you know, everybody's thinking they're preparing for the worst, you know, and hopefully it won't turn out like that, but I know there's at least 2 of her employees that are they're gonna jump on that opportunity. So, any other questions? Hearing none, I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman, for public comment.
Thank you. Anybody else from the board? How about the public? Anybody want to come up and say anything? Welcome. Okay,
Chairman Young, I have a couple items I need to bring up.
then you certainly take care of them now.
On your desk are your per diems for this last quarter. If you'd review them, and if you have any changes, please get them to me by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. You can do it email or phone. I'm going to be out of the office at his own meeting, but leave a message for me and we'll get that taken care of. Also, I did send out an email earlier on the bound budget books. If you're interested in them, let me know too. John said he'd get the final budget. I think they found a few typos. They were cleaning up in that, but I'm supposed to be getting that next week, and we'll start the process on getting those out to you and have them done in a couple weeks then.
Good, thank you. Okay. Now, if there is no other comments, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session to consider collective negotiations and litigation.
So moved. Second.
Was that Station and Fannin? Okay. And I think if we just stay right here, we could, oh, we got to vote?
Yep.
Roll call.
Okay.
Roll call.
Roll call it. Christie.
Fieri. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Station.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Coleman.
See you in January.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Sherwin. Yes. Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast. Oops, Weller. Weller. Kimball. Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Thank you.